Hey everyone, Chris here. Welcome back to Chris Will Fix It, where we break down scams, frauds, and everything in between, so you don't fall for them. Today, we're diving into the story of a crypto scam so big, it tricked people out of over $290 million. Buckle up, because this one's wild. Meet Douver T. Braga. He and his associates promised investors a way to make easy money with crypto trading through a platform called Trade Coin Club, or TCC for short. Sounds cool, right? Well, there was a tiny little problem. None of it was real. Braga and his team told investors that TCC had a super advanced trading algorithm, basically a fancy AI that would make thousands of trades every second and generate big profits. And if that wasn't tempting enough, they sweetened the deal. TCC had an MLM-style recruitment system, meaning you could also make money by bringing in new investors. Sounds a lot like a pyramid scheme, doesn't it? Well, that's because it was one. This whole thing started around 2016, when Braga and his team met in Las Vegas to plan their big operation. They went all in. Fancy promotional events, flashy marketing, even hyped up social media campaigns to convince people to join. They told investors that Trade Coin Club was already a huge success, with over 126,000 members from 231 countries. But behind the scenes, they weren't actually trading anything. The money people invested, it was just going into Braga's pockets. In total, investors put in over 82,000 Bitcoin, which, at the time, was worth about $290 million. That's a lot of money disappearing into thin air. As with most scams, things eventually started falling apart. By late 2017, investors started having trouble withdrawing their money. Braga and his team had an answer though: T-Coin. Instead of letting people withdraw Bitcoin, TCC forced them to use a brand new cryptocurrency called T-Coin. Except, surprise, T-Coin was worthless. Investors were stuck. By early 2018, people were catching on. Some investors realized they had been scammed, but it was too late. The FBI and SEC started investigating, and Braga knew the walls were closing in. Braga wasn't just taking investor money, he was hiding it. Between 2016 and 2019, he secretly transferred over 228,000 Bitcoin to accounts he controlled. And when he filed taxes, he conveniently forgot to mention his millions in earnings. Oops. In 2021, the authorities finally caught up with him. The US government charged Braga with wire fraud and conspiracy. Basically, they had proof that he stole money through lies and deception. And to top it all off, they're going after his entire fortune, the Bitcoin, the cash, everything. Okay, so what can we learn from all this? How do you avoid falling for a scam like Trade Coin Club? Here's what to watch out for. 1. Guaranteed returns. Nobody can promise a risk-free investment, especially in crypto. 2. MLM structures. If you make money by recruiting people instead of real profits, it's a red flag. 3. Fake technology. If they claim they have a secret trading bot but don't show proof, run. 4. Pressure to invest fast. Scammers always rush you to act before you can think it through. So, what do you think? The next case will totally blow your mind with a phishing setup that managed to cash out $20 million. Let's talk about Babatunde Francis Ayene, a 33-year-old Nigerian national who was living in the UK at the time of his arrest. Ayene was part of a high-level cyber fraud operation targeting real estate transactions in the United States. And when I say high-level, I mean it. This was a sophisticated scheme that tricked over 400 victims, stealing life savings and crushing dreams of home ownership. So, how did it work? This was a classic case of business email compromise, or BEC. It started with Ayene and his co-conspirators sending phishing emails to real estate companies, agents, and attorneys. These emails seemed to be totally legit, but they contained malicious links. If an employee clicked on one, they'd be prompted to enter their email login. And just like that, Ayene's crew had access to their accounts. From there, things got even worse. Once inside, the scammers would monitor email conversations, waiting for the perfect moment, a real estate transaction where a buyer was about to send money. Then they'd strike. The criminals sent fake emails from the compromised accounts, telling buyers where to wire their payments. But instead of sending their money to the actual real estate company, buyers were unknowingly transferring it straight into accounts controlled by Ayene's team. By the time anyone realized what had happened, it was too late. Over 400 people across the US fell for the scam. And out of those, 231 victims couldn't recover their money in time, losing everything, totaling nearly 20 million cash. One of the biggest targets was a real estate title company in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Ayene and his team hacked into their emails and used them to carry out fraud in Alabama and beyond. The impact was devastating. During the sentencing, almost 20 victims testified in court, sharing how this crime shattered their lives. Many lost their life savings, money they had set aside to buy a home. Some even experienced deep shame and depression, blaming themselves for falling for the scam. But here's the truth. These scams are designed to be almost impossible to detect. They play on trust, timing, and the appearance of legitimacy. Now, let's talk about the aftermath. In April 2024, Ayene pleaded guilty to conspiracy to commit wire fraud. And last week, a judge sentenced him to 10 years in federal prison. But it doesn't end there. The FBI is still searching for two of his co-conspirators, Fayesayo Ogunsanwo and Yusuf Lasisi, who are believed to be hiding outside the US. The US government is actively working to detain them for good. Police state that cyber fraud will not go unpunished. U.S. Attorney Sean Costello stated that online criminals may think they're safe behind a keyboard, but this case proves otherwise. The FBI also reminded the public to stay cautious and report any possible fraud. Prepare for our last case. This time we'll dive deep into how to take advantage from companies by using their services to mine crypto. Charles O. Parks III, a self-proclaimed tech entrepreneur, had all the makings of a modern success story. He branded himself as a cloud computing consultant, a business strategist, and even the founder of his own cryptocurrency-related firm, CP30 LLC. But behind the impressive online persona, Parks was orchestrating a sophisticated cryptojacking scheme, one that would defraud major cloud service providers out of millions. Cryptojacking is the unauthorized use of computing resources to mine cryptocurrency. It's a method that allows criminals to bypass the enormous costs of mining by secretly exploiting other people's hardware. Instead of investing in expensive mining rigs and paying for electricity, Parks took a different approach. He created multiple fake identities, set up fraudulent corporate entities, and used VPNs to obscure his activities. With these tactics, he managed to register accounts with major cloud computing services, gaining access to high-performance servers. From January to August 2021, Parks launched tens of thousands of virtual mining operations across multiple cloud platforms. These companies, believing he was a legitimate customer, provided him with extensive computing power he never intended to pay for. Whenever invoices came due, Parks either ignored them or fabricated excuses, stalling for time while he continued expanding his operation. When a provider caught on and shut down his accounts, he simply moved on to another, leaving behind a trail of unpaid bills. By the time authorities pieced together what was happening, Parks had accumulated over $1 million in cryptocurrency, but rather than hide his profits, he took bold steps to launder them. Using CP30 LLC as a front, he funneled funds through multiple cryptocurrency wallets, converted them to cash, and deposited the money into various bank accounts. To further legitimize his earnings, he applied for a $75,000 small business loan, using his artificially inflated account balances to appear financially stable. With his newfound wealth, Parks indulged in a lavish lifestyle. First-class flights, expensive jewelry, and high-end electronics became his norm. But federal investigators were already closing in. His banking transactions showed a clear pattern of structuring, making multiple deposits just below the $10,000 reporting threshold to avoid detection. This red flag, combined with complaints from the defrauded cloud providers, put him squarely in the sights of law enforcement. When the indictment came down, the charges were severe: wire fraud, money laundering, and financial crimes, all carrying the potential for decades behind bars. In the end, Charles O. Parks III thought he had found a way to cheat the system. But in the world of cryptocurrency, no matter how well a scheme is crafted, the blockchain never forgets. And that's all for today. Just tell me, what do you think about this down below on the comments. Do not forget to leave a like and subscribe for more content.